quiet, alone time, self-reflection, not constantly scrolling or tapping or clicking watch next on your fill-in-the-blank streaming service. Sounds like an absolute fucking nightmare, doesn't it? Well, don't worry. The problem, it's probably you. My name is Crumbine, and I make videos about the intersection of creative expression, creative process, and mental health. If that doesn't sound like a problem, I think that makes sense. Or if you just want a little support during your own creative journey, be sure to like and subscribe. Means a lot, really helps. Slow living has become an absolute centerpiece to my creative lifestyle, and subsequently the stability of my house of cards, obsessive, hyper-fixating anger lurking everywhere brain chemistry. If my number one priority in life is the creative process to create, then my number two is slow living. Here's why. My journey to a slow lifestyle went through 2 marriages, multiple houses, and all of the chaos, the absolute, abject mental and emotional chaos of working at a major newspaper and industry adjacent to the Orlando theme park. Well, I wouldn't actually call it industrial complex as much as I would call it a nightmare complex. Originally, I latched on to minimalism, which is still important to me, but realistically, it was just a foot in the door of slow living. Minimalism and this idea of intentionality is like the first step down the path of slowing down, because it acknowledges and attempts to deal with all the noise and static of consumerism and modern society at large. All the things distracting you, or rather keeping you from writing that next story, or making a video, or learning an instrument. I mean, let's face it, we all know the refrain. I'm bored. Let me buy something. Yay! I have a new thing. I don't know what this thing is, but it's jugglish. I have this new thing. It's exciting. It's shiny. It's different. Oh! Wait a minute. This new thing, it's not new any longer. And now I'm bored again. Ooh, I know. Let's buy something new. And so on and so forth. This isn't the dramatic reading. Watch the vlogalogs for actual real dramatic performances. I highly recommend them. Great stuff in that pipeline or coming up. I'm not really sure when this gets posted, but vlogalogs, those are much better performance pieces than this. Anyway, so like before the pandemic, I downsized and lived tiny for a few years, eventually buying this home, during my second marriage. Then, when the pandemic started, also when the pandemic persisted, thank you very much, still active, still ongoing. Yes, that's who I am. Deal with it. So when the pandemic started and persisted, I found myself speed running down the path of slow living. See what I did there? Speed run down the slow living. In all seriousness, it was like coming home again. See, the thing is, I've never been comfortable in this world. I don't like crowds. I literally have a hard time functioning in large groups of people. I'm breaking down just thinking about it. I barely like people. Those theme parks I mentioned, I have never understood why someone would spend so much money just to be hot and miserable, all while standing around and waiting in endless lines. I can't, this thing up here can't wrap, it can't, I can't figure that. It doesn't make any sense. I like to stay at home. I like my backyard. I like going on long walks with my dog. I love the convenience of having my groceries delivered to my front door. Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute. I get to stay safe and healthy in a now socially acceptable way. You know, this whole pandemic thing is actually kind of neat. I mean, it isn't. No, don't please don't get me wrong. The pandemic is not neat. It is a horrible example of how we as a society completely failed when it comes to public health. It is a living nightmare, as much as all the other nightmares I've described so far. But for certain kinds of people, me specifically, who enjoy their home that they've spent so much money on, um, I that this is who I am. Simplicity, mindfulness, intentionalism, sweet boredom. All of these things add up to a happy, simple baseline, working together to filter out that noise, that static of life, all those triggers and bullshit that overwhelm my brain, which ultimately leaves a wide open and very blank canvas for that number one priority: the pursuit of my art. Of course, don't get me wrong, Static still happens. Stressors still lurk. Everything is fine until it isn't. Maybe it's the day job, flipping a table over, or a home repair that turns into an Everest-like expedition. The point is, by maintaining that happy, simple baseline, it's easier and faster to recover and to get back to doing the things that I love, the things that give my life meaning, the things that make me happy. So, slow living gives me space to pursue my creative priorities. It's how I was able to write an 80,000 word novel in 2 months. Let me say that one more time. 80,000 word novel, 2 months. But that's another video. The world is chaos, and the big secret conspiracy is that they with capital T, big they want you to stay lost in that chaos. They want you stuck on the hamster wheel of consumerism, racking up debt that forces you to live paycheck to paycheck to paycheck, constantly stressed and finding empty fucking joy in scrolling and tapping and 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 buying plastic junk over and over and over and over again. In other words, there is a quantifiable, malicious, evil fucking empire reason that it is so damn hard to just step away from it all. But if you do, well, if discovering and pursuing your own creative expression isn't reward enough, then a calm, quiet brain is a hell of a lot better than the alternative. Listen, if you made it this far, thank you. I really appreciate it. And it would be super helpful if you hit that like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. Thanks for hanging out. Stay creative.